In the next 8 to 12 months, you're probably going to come across and get distracted by tons of altcoins, meme coins, utility coins, whatever people want to call them. And in this video, I want to explain to you why you should only focus on Bitcoin. Let's get started. I want to start with two graphics. So the first graphic is this one right here. You can see Bitcoin has no founder, Bitcoin has no ruling foundation, no pre-mine, no insiders, no initial investors, no office, no website, no paid executive team, no marketing team, no paid dev team, no starting price, no human controlling it, and it's the fairest money in the world. All of these characteristics can only be there if Bitcoin is completely decentralized and if there are no humans controlling it. I'm going to go through these so I can show you the importance of them. So the first one, Bitcoin has no founder. The reason why this is so important is because if you have founders, then you have biases, then you have different beliefs, then you have people thinking that this thing is made for a certain reason or another reason. You have a reason for people to opt out. So, for example, people just don't use Facebook because they don't like Mark Zuckerberg. Other people just don't use Twitter because they don't like Elon Musk. In this case, because Bitcoin doesn't have a founder, you don't have to worry about thinking things like, oh, this person is from China, so they have this belief and I don't like it. This person's from India, they have this belief and I don't like that. Or this person is from America or Russia or wherever, and they have this belief and I don't like it. So you don't have to think about all of that. I think that just makes it a lot easier to adopt a form of money, and it allows a much bigger part of the world to adopt that form of money. For example, I saw a video from Bitcoin University, Matthew Crater. He was mentioning Caspa, and he was saying how the founder of Caspa was mentioning certain things against a very large group of people. And what this does is it stops that group of people from wanting to use that currency or that asset. Let's say Bitcoin becomes global money. What we needed to do is to be money and to not stop working regardless of who owns it. We don't want anybody to be able to sanction anybody else. We don't want people to be able to control anybody else. That's where the ruling foundation comes in. I just quickly Googled the definition of a crypto foundation or a ruling foundation. It says here, a ruling foundation in the crypto space refers to a non-profit organization established to manage and oversee the development and distribution of a specific cryptocurrency project, often playing a key role in setting governance rules, allocating funds for development, and promoting the overall ecosystem of that cryptocurrency, while typically acting as a central authority with significant influence over the project's direction. The reason why this is a problem is because the ruling foundation can be coerced. They can be told to do certain things and they can change what the project or what the currency or what the asset, the digital asset, actually stands for. In the case of Bitcoin, we have a group of people who are developers for Bitcoin Core. Bitcoin Core is the software that's run by anybody who wants to run Bitcoin. They want to have some kind of power over making sure that Bitcoin continues to follow the protocol that it's supposed to follow. So what they can do is they can download Bitcoin Core. The developers for that software could be corrupt, and that could be a problem. But if they try to change the software in a way that hurts Bitcoin, the people who are running nodes, the people who are actually running the computers that run the software and make sure that the protocol is working, they can stop using the Bitcoin Core version that corrupt people create and put out. So they can basically say, I'm not using this, and another developer could take their place. And the difference is that with a ruling foundation, you can't get away from that group of people. So with Bitcoin, you can get away from the developers that are developing Bitcoin Core. With a ruling foundation, you can't. The next one, has no pre-mine, is extremely important because we know that nobody received Bitcoin for free. There were people in the beginning who had to mine it, who had to run the software. They had to put in their time, their energy, their effort into downloading whatever the software was then, whatever the hardware was, whatever they had to do. They were able to mine Bitcoin. They were able to use their energy, resources, and time to create more Bitcoin, but nobody received Bitcoin for free. And to me, this is really important because anybody who received Bitcoin would have had to take a risk. So if you're taking a risk and you're putting your resources, your time, your energy towards this project, you deserve to be rewarded for that risk. But everybody had an equal opportunity to put their time, energy, and resources toward this project. I only started looking into Bitcoin around 2020, 2021. But if I had not ignored Bitcoin in 2010, 2011, I would have probably been able to mine Bitcoin and I would have had an equal opportunity, the same as everyone else, to mine Bitcoin and to get those 50 Bitcoin block rewards. Keep in mind, I only started accumulating in 2022. I probably have a lot less Bitcoin than most people think, but I'm telling you this because this is how a fair system works. I waited to adopt Bitcoin. I didn't adopt Bitcoin right in the beginning. There was no pre-mine, so nobody got Bitcoin for free. I could have been part of those people who started mining Bitcoin early. And I'm not complaining because I understand how the system works. You can't go back in time. You can only move forward. If you ignore Bitcoin today, if you watch this video and you don't own Bitcoin and you say that I'm going to wait or I'm just going to put it off until 6 months, a year from now, you're going to be paying a lot more for Bitcoin to get it at that time. You buy Bitcoin at the price you deserve, meaning that if you ignore Bitcoin, you're going to pay a lot more. So there was no pre-mine. Nobody got special privileges over everyone else. Everybody had the same opportunity to mine Bitcoin. If you were part of this small group of people who started mining Bitcoin early, you could have made a lot more money from Bitcoin as well. But the point here again is that nobody received Bitcoin for free before everyone else. In the case of Ethereum, for example, there was a 70% pre-mine. In the case of XRP, there was something like a 100% pre-mine. 80% of that XRP went to Ripple, the company, and 20% went to the executives. All of the Bitcoin hasn't even been created yet. There's only ever going to be 21 million, and it's going to take 140, 130 years for all of it to be mined. So it's going to take until 2140. Of course, there are no insiders. Nobody can change Bitcoin. Nobody has any info on products that Bitcoin is creating. Nobody has any info on certain things that Bitcoin's executive team is doing because there is no executive team. There's no people at the top who can change the protocol. I showed you a tweet from Vitalik not too long ago. This is the tweet here. If you want to, you can pause the video, just read it. But what this shows me is that this one person has a lot of control over the cryptocurrency that he created. He created Ethereum. As the creator, he probably has some control over it that other people probably have no idea about. I don't know what exactly could be happening on the back end. I don't know how much control he has. But from this tweet, you can see how much power he has. But until that happens, it's me. You are making my job harder. You are decreasing the chance that I have any interest whatsoever in doing what you want. So what you can see here is that if he doesn't like someone, he's going to go against whatever they say. I'm not saying that this is the only reason why you should avoid ETH. There are other reasons as well, but this is one of the main reasons to me that Ethereum doesn't make any sense. And the next one here has no initial investors. I remember in the beginning when Ethereum was being sold for 2,000 ETH for one Bitcoin, some crazy number like that. And it's never gone down to that level again because Ethereum has enough marketing and enough people talking about it that people are continuously buying it. People think that Ethereum is number two to Bitcoin. In the case of Bitcoin, everybody could have mined for Bitcoin. They could have put in their time and energy to mine Bitcoin. But in the case of Ethereum, they had to set that minimum price. Bitcoin had 0 as its minimum price. In the beginning, when Bitcoin was just being mined, nobody had any idea how much it would be worth. They just saw it as a collector's item. On the other hand, with Ethereum, it did have an initial price. And that price was set by the Ethereum Foundation. The next one, no office. Because there's no people controlling Bitcoin, there's no executive team, there's no marketing team. Of course, there's no office, there's no website. People have created their own websites with Bitcoin. But the point here is that there's no central authority that you can control or you can talk to in order to change Bitcoin. And this is what makes it so powerful. All of these we can see that here, the no paid executive team, no marketing team, no paid dev team. People develop Bitcoin because they want to make it better. They actually want to work on a software that they think could improve the world. And it's a form of money that eventually will improve the world because nobody can create more of it. This is the second graphic that I wanted to show you. What Bitcoin does by being a decentralized form of money with no group of people controlling it or stopping it from working it the way that it's supposed to, Bitcoin creates a form of money that has a limited supply. It's decentralized, rules without rulers. It has a clear monetary policy, so you know exactly how much Bitcoin will be created over the next 10, 20, 50, 100 years. It's open and permissionless. Anyone in the world can use it. Anyone can mine Bitcoin. Anyone can run a node. You just have to have the financial resources to be able to buy Bitcoin or to run a node. And running a node costs something like $200-$300, pretty cheap. So it's open and permissionless. Anyone can use it. Anyone can run the software. Anyone can have a copy of the Bitcoin ledger on their computer, and they can continuously have it updated. You can't do this with a lot of altcoins. For example, Ethereum, you need to have at least 32 ETH to be a validator on that network. In the case of Bitcoin, you can run a node regardless of how much Bitcoin you have. You don't have to have any upfront investment of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is also unconfiscatable. There's no risk of seizure if keys are stored correctly. For example, the people from Bitfinex, I believe that's them, they had their Bitcoin taken from them because they had their private keys in a Google cloud. So they had it stored on the internet. And because the FBI, I guess, has access to all that stuff, they were able to take their Bitcoin. But if you store your keys properly, there's no way for anybody to take your Bitcoin. On the other hand, let's say with altcoins, do you really think if the US government goes to Ethereum and says, you need to block this country's addresses, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to roll back the chain, you need to make this kind of change or this kind of change, do you really think that Vitalik won't comply? Do you really think so? Do you really think he won't convince the Ethereum Foundation to change the software to align with the US government? I think he would comply if the US government threatened him with jail time. And you can't even blame him because he's an individual person. He has to look for his own best interests. But the thing is that if you own ETH and the US government doesn't like you, how do you know that they're not going to go after Vitalik and take your Ethereum? It doesn't even have to be the US government. It could be the Russian government. It could be the Chinese government. It could be the Indian government, Brazil, whoever. It doesn't really matter. The point is that there's somebody in the middle who can be sued, who can be attacked, who can be hurt, who can be threatened to change the access that you have to your Ethereum. I don't know how they would do that, but I bet you there's a way. The next one is available for pretty much every cryptocurrency. From what I know, every cryptocurrency is privacy conscious. They all are pseudonymous. You have an address that represents you. But like I mentioned with ETH, not every cryptocurrency is censorship resistant. I think your main focus here should be to just buy Bitcoin, accumulate, and not get distracted, because all of these other cryptocurrencies are going to lose value in terms of Bitcoin forever. In the long term, they're not going to outperform Bitcoin. They might in the short term, but over the next 10, 20, 30 years, a lot of these cryptocurrencies are going to completely disappear. If we take a look at a historical snapshot of the top cryptocurrencies in December of 2017, we can see here there's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, XRP, Litecoin, Cardano, IOTA, Dash, NEM, Monero, Bitcoin Gold, a bunch of different currencies. If we take a look at the current top cryptocurrencies, we can see here that Bitcoin is still at the top. Bitcoin will always be at the top because it solves a problem that no other cryptocurrency can solve. And the only reason for this is that it's the only one that's truly decentralized and not controlled by any third parties. From what I know, Ethereum will probably stay in number 2 because it does such a great job with marketing itself, and its holders are pretty hardcore. They're pretty dedicated to the project. After Bitcoin and Ethereum, I think all of these other cryptocurrencies are just going to keep swapping spots regularly. If you look at the price of altcoins in terms of US dollars, you're probably going to see that the price just keeps going up. But if you look at those prices in terms of Bitcoin, which is something that can't be created out of nothing, unlike the US dollar, you're going to see that the price of every altcoin just keeps coming down. So, for example, Ethereum hit its peak of about 0.156 Bitcoin per ETH in June of 2017. And today, it's lost something like 80% of its value, and it's only worth 0.0319 Bitcoin. We can also see the exact same thing with something like XRP. At one point, one XRP was worth 0.00023 Bitcoin, and today it's worth 0.00002966. So it's added a zero after the decimal, which is terrible. So over time, if you want to buy altcoins, you can go ahead and do it. But the only reason why you're buying them is probably going to be to accumulate more Bitcoin. And the majority of them are going to fail. The majority of them are going to lose you money. The majority of them are going to leave you with a lot less Bitcoin than you started with. I would say start with Bitcoin, own Bitcoin, and just wait. That's it. That's all you have to do. If you can buy Bitcoin regularly, you're going to do so much better than the average person. There's no reason to buy altcoins. Most altcoins are going to zero in terms of Bitcoin, and most people just haven't seen this yet. Altcoins are just a way to extract wealth from retail investors. If you're a new investor, altcoin creators just see you as prey. You don't understand how selfish and how evil these people can be. They will take all of your money from you and they won't even care. Stick to Bitcoin. It's the original. It's the only one that works. If you want to save for the long term, your goal should be to just accumulate as much Bitcoin as you possibly can. You can trade in and out of altcoins if you want to. I don't really care if you do, but I can almost guarantee you that you're going to end up with a lot less money than if you had just bought and held Bitcoin.